Okay, good morning, everybody. It is my pleasure to introduce you today Joanna and Yashvi from the project myVision, from the company myVision, and they're going to tell you their inspire vision about inspiring 300 million people to eradicate poverty in the world. So, ladies, let's start now.
Thank you so much, Rafa and Antoine, for having us here. We know that it's an exciting day with SENS24. This is Joanna speaking, and Yashvi's here with me. If you want to give a shout out, hello, Yashvi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yashvi. I'm saying hi from Canada. Hope everyone's having a great day, and I had a chance to catch some really inspiring stories, and hope you've had a chance to do something.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to the rest of the day. So we know we're at the early morning hour in Europe, and anyhow, we'll just start off with a brief introduction of us. The two of us are raised in Niagara Falls, Canada. So we grew up in the same neighborhood, but met later on in high school, and have moved on together as well to university in Montreal, Canada, where we reside right now. And we had both always been really interested in being involved in our community. In school, it's something that's highly encouraged back at home in Niagara Falls. And that's what had always a significant impact on us, and looking at issues in our local community that we could improve. And it was always a great way to make friends. And so from an early age, the two of us were involved. And quickly were inspired behind the issue of poverty. Interestingly enough, the two of us have been so fortunate to grow up in an area where we had access to education. We're able to, benefit from a household, home, food, healthcare, things that we realized through learning in school and being involved wasn't accessible to everyone around the world. So throughout high school, we actually worked on a project, and we called this sort of project and movement hand in hand. There's the link there that you can check it out if you'd like, handinhandworld.com. And this was an initiative with youth within the Niagara region, as well as soon it excitingly escalated a little bit with young people in different countries, in 8 different countries around the world. And we had worked together to try to combat this issue, or work together to improve the scenario of poverty, or at least help people rise from the levels of extreme poverty as termed by the United Nations. And so it was incredible. It was exciting times, and we had raised over $42,000 with these high school students coming together, and adopted 2 villages in India and Sierra Leone through a joint program with a charity called Free the Children. And these villages, what we had done was 4 projects. There was the Build a School project. There was a well program to create access to clean drinking water, improve the healthcare, and provide alternative income sources in the communities. So it was an incredible time, and that really inspired a lot of youngsters around in our community. We had done collaborate with many people, and we thought learning about social entrepreneurship at that time, step by step, we had said, well, now that we've accomplished our project, maybe there's, an even more efficient way out there that we could be the change. We've done lots of fundraising, but then we thought once we completed the project, what do we do next? Do we do it again and fundraise for another program? And like I said, that's where we learned about social business, social entrepreneurship, and this emerging, incredible, and exciting field. So that led myself personally to go into business school and the birth of myVision. So in our third slide here, we have a photo of Dr. Mohammed Yunus and Hans Reitz. Dr. Mohammed Yunus is the Nobel Peace Prize laureate in microfinance, microcredit, and for his work with the Grameen Bank. And Hans Reitz is his partner CEO in building this social business movement. What myVision does, myVision is building a new international network of young people creating a world free of extreme poverty through social business. And so what we had done was spoken to Professor Yunus and said, we want to be the change as young people. We are leaders of today and leaders of tomorrow, whether we're, 13, 20, 25, or 100. We can be agents of change. So he said, yes, let's work together. And we said, we want to use social business to solve this problem. We want to create a world free of extreme poverty. Everyone deserves to have at least the basic necessities to life. And that's where it was created. And so Professor Eunice and Hans are the mentors to the program, and we are the youth actually kind of leading it and running it and being the change. And so the name actually, we're always often asked where that comes from. So I'll briefly describe that, and then I'll explain how things got launched and pass it on to Yashvi from there. But the name myVision came from the thought of that each young person should be able to envision the world in which they wish to live and make that vision a reality through their actions in social business. And so if we realize as well, when each young person thinks about that and reflects on what their vision is, a lot of us have something in common, and it's usually for a better world, a healthier world, a greater world. And that's where that name came from. So essentially, everything got started in summertime in 2012. The initial kind of date where we confirmed we do this was in April, so it's almost about 1 year now. Things have really taken off incredibly, and what we had done was first start off with one pilot team in Montreal, Canada, specifically at McGill University, to try things out and see how we can be agents of change through this group. And then eventually from there the goal was, which is what we're working on now, to support other youth around the world to get their own group started. So without further ado, I'll let Yashvi talk about the team in Montreal and how they've been doing the last few months.
Great, thanks, Joanna. Good morning, everyone. So once again, my name is Yashvi, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about how a myVision team is structured, just before I get into some of the action portions that myVision McGill is pursuing right now. So each chapter picks one Millennium Development Goal that they're particularly passionate about to work towards. And here at McGill, us McGillians are really excited and we're really empowered to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, to create a world free of extreme poverty and hunger through our social business activities. And so there are 5 ways that myVision and myVision McGill are aiming to do that. So first, we encourage our members and our supporters to envision what is your vision for the world, and to commit to that by signing our banner, to creating that vision card, to making it so real and so concrete that you can see it all the time. And then when you've created that vision, to take action. So here at myVision McGill, we're launching a social business on campus to raise awareness about it through our work in Kungani, Peru, which I'll just get into a little bit later. So we're empowering this community by raising awareness about social business in and around our campus, around our city, and around the world. And lastly, we'd like to mentor. So we're promoting sustainability, but we need to promote sustainability to the younger minds, even younger than us, who will eventually come into our shoes. So teach them about the concept of social business. And here in Canada, right around the ages of 12 to 15, which we call junior youth, we're really encouraged to get proactive in our communities and learn about what we're passionate about and what we can do to make our world a better place. So right around this time, we'd really like to encourage youth to pursue social business and social enterprise as a viable path to making their visions a reality. So in terms of raising awareness about social business through myVision around campus, we're really fortunate to pilot a project in partnership with the Bamboo Village in Vietnam, which is an existing social business that use the bamboo to create goods. So for example, we're able to create myVision bracelets that we use for branding purposes when we were able to support the community in Vietnam. And so in terms of how the social business model works, the non-dividend, non-loss, so when we purchased these bracelets and sold them to our colleagues and our friends and we were able to spread awareness, those proceeds went back into supporting that community, to developing that business. Furthermore, we engage in MV cocktails, which are monthly events we all gather together, and it's kind of a time to celebrate social business, celebrate all the great things that can come from adapting this kind of model, this kind of mindset, and also monthly movie screenings to get a better understanding of things that are just being done around the world, different social businesses and social enterprises that are making meaningful change in so many communities around the world. And it's a time for us to come together and really get a little bit, to get educated and to discuss. So the community that myVision McGill is very much focused on is Cungani, Peru. It's in the Cusco region of Peru. And there are a number of reasons that we're so particularly passionate about this community. Is first and foremost, it's very much in line with our goals. We're trying to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, and this community is very impoverished. And it's a community that's partnered with Nexos Voluntarios, which is an organization already partnered with our university, McGill University. And it's a very meaningful community for us to invest in. So currently we're investing $3,500 in nutrition programs for kids in the community, a portion of which will go into launching and sustaining our social business. Currently, we're at the $700 mark, so we just have enough to launch our social business. And from our event actually just yesterday, where we spoke at the Spanish Latin American Students Association conference, we were able to raise awareness about Cungani, Peru by just talking a little bit about the rich culture and things that can come from launching a social business in the area. And then our event tomorrow, actually, where students will gather at an MD cocktail to discuss social business. So like I was saying, when I actually had the pleasure of visiting Peru this summer, and I noticed they have incredible talent in terms of these artisan goods that they can produce. So the social business model that myVision McGill would like to the women in Cungani, or well, the families in Cungani, they would produce these goods, and then we would sell them on campus. And all the proceeds go back to them into launching their social business, and also using those proceeds to support their community and to develop their business. Mentorship for students is a really, really important part of myVision. Like I said, the young people even younger than us will step into our shoes tomorrow, and it's really important that they're understanding the concepts of social business and social enterprise that are growing, and the momentum is growing so much each day, and we're aiming to empower these students around our region to get involved. So this is through a number of ways. So first, we would go in and present to them and kind of be mentors to them for a little while in their envisioning process when they're learning where to go from here, helping them get in touch with social enterprises, social businesses that may be existing within the community. But it'll be more of a mentorship process from the myVision McGill team to the students of Montreal.
All right, and I'll take it from here. And so as, yes, you guys, can you hear me fine okay? Is it? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Sorry, there's just I'm out just to share with everybody. I'm out in China right now for a bit of time through university exchange, and sometimes out here the connection is a little bit different. Anyhow, so as Yashvi shared, we can see that most of the myVision group in the first period of its time at McGill University was focused on awareness raising, because a lot of the times what we found is, many of us question, what is social entrepreneurship? What does social business mean? How can we actually take action with it? So that was the first phase, and now it's really moving into a take action period. And that's the beauty of it all, is among youth, we want to give them the opportunity, and that's including ourselves, to, while in school, be able to get educated and then actually practice being agents of change. And later on, who knows, that might lead into a career in social business, or just starting a project in the area, or at least supporting one. So that's been the beauty of it, and hopefully the goal is to get 300 million youth around the world together to make that vision of a poverty-free world a reality. It's a goal that we've made with Professor Eunice, partially because we truly believe that in order to create a world free of extreme poverty, we need everybody involved, and youth from countries around the world together. So we're making strides one step at a time, and in fall 2013, we're really excited. So that's coming up in a few months. Is kind of our time where we plan to launch a phase where we can actually support young people around the world in starting their own groups. So as you said, McGill is a pilot project, and we're going forward from here. And we really very much look forward to that and together, I guess, making our visions a reality for the world. So that is a summary of what we've got today, and we look forward if anybody has any questions. We'd love to chat a bit more or hear your feedback, as well as collaborate with anyone in the future as well to support more young people out there.
Okay, thank you very much, Joanna and Yalvi. It's really exciting actually to see all the energy you have behind your project and all the things you are doing in order to improve this planet. We have a question actually. There is very versatile. You are working at McGill at the same time. You are studying at McGill. And how is the university organization and staff joining you in your project? Do they help? Do they give like an infrastructure?
I'll give that to you, Yashvi, since you're there right now.
Right. I just want to make sure I understood the question. It was how McGill University is providing infrastructure to the team?
Yeah. And helping you in your vision, yeah? In MyVision, for MyVision.
Right. So myVision is really fortunate to have a lot of support from faculties around campus. So the way it works is McGill University, in particular the Management Undergraduate Society, which is one faculty in particular, they usually house a variety of student organizations. And this is housed under a major society, and they provide a lot of infrastructure to a club in terms of just a home for the club, and a lot of access to a lot of resources and, of course, students. So McGill University kind of helps us in getting that kind set in place and helping us establish a club on campus. But we're really fortunate in that we have a lot of support from faculty, but we're also a student-led organization, and we have a lot of freedom in that.
What if I can add as well, we found valuable, especially in the first year, is collaborating with other existing clubs on the university campus as well through their conferences and events. One thing we noticed especially was one of the first things Yashvi and I noticed in September, that, in a positive sense, there are so many wonderful conferences that happen on campus. On the kind of, I guess, more perplexed side is that sometimes there are too many to even go to. And so we thought, if for raising awareness, why don't we collaborate with others? And that's been so wonderful because not only are their events getting more support, but we're able to focus on specifically the social business aspect of events. And this way, students on campus are really getting the word's really grown out there, and it started to spread on itself, by itself.
Great. And how are you connected with other schools also, like you're in McGill and you're in exchange semester in China? I guess like you're actually still continuing there. How do you connect with other countries?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So in relationship to China, this is a program as part of my major in international business. Now that's funny, some people ask, Joanna, why aren't you studying social business? And the reason for that is we don't actually have a program yet. So as we see, the field is very new, and there's a lot of research being done on how professors can actually teach such a program. So, in fact, just last night I was on a teleconference with McGill faculty because we're working on implementing a program, a minor in social business within our Faculty of Management, which is exciting. So that's one great thing that the club has also been really active in. So because it's still in the making, my studies are in international management, another field that I'm passionate about, which I plan to apply to social business. We are required to go on exchange, so I've come to Shanghai, a place that I've been really looking forward to get to know. One, because of this incredibly strongly emerging economy of China, and to see how that has an impact on the environment here. and development, and to get to know the social entrepreneurship community here, because I thought, it would be interesting to compare and contrast. And it's been incredible. I have met a lot of people in the last few weeks. I just arrived about a month ago, and already on campus here, I study at Shanghai Jiao Tong University. It's a one-semester exchange, and on campus, students are taking interest in the topic. I've kind of brought it up in classes and said, how is development happening here in rural areas of China, especially. Last week, professors said, let's do something together. So just like that, I find it's kind of just sort of happens in conversation. Students might be, let's say, bothered by some of the air quality here in Shanghai as relative to other places around the world, and they say, maybe we can use social business to solve that, for example, and that kind of gets us really going. So one thing leads to the next, and it just really moves that way, and they say, what's my vision, and it goes forward. The rest of our peers, to be honest, social networking, social media, Facebook probably is the number one thing. That's where young people are, day in and day out. And I mean, I was there before, right when Facebook was created as well. So that we have our friends, and even an event or a posting, people find out and then they join, or we see a like on our page by someone we haven't even met yet, which is incredible. So things go forward usually that way, and we keep in touch. And finally, Yashi and I have been both very fortunate to have participated in international conferences for the past several years. Usually these events, there's young people, again, passionate leaders from around the world who want to collaborate together. And for us, the conference is about learning and building those relationships, but the real challenges comes after, what you do after. So I feel that we've been working well in terms of making sure that we continue that spirit and take that spirit from those conferences and keep in touch with those other young people. And that's been, it's pretty much kind of gone from there.
Yeah, and if I could just add one small thing, is I had the pleasure to travel to our second chapter in Kingston, Canada, just a few weeks ago, and I was kind of talking to them about how they found out, and it's actually been a lot of word of mouth. So they found out about myVision through a friend that we have here at McGill, and she was really empowered by the idea, and she shared it with her friends, and they were inspired to be the change on their campus, and now they have their own chapter going in. So I think a major thing, like Joanna said, was social networking and a word of mouth from our friends and inspiring each other.
So, yeah, actually, it's good that you speak about it, because you have this goal of reaching 300 million youth in the world. Mm-hmm. And how are you planning to do that, actually? Is it really by networking effect, and then you have network effect? Or do you have a specific strategy also you want to put in place at one moment for your organization?
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I really love about this. So, yes, 300 million youth, it sounds like an overwhelming number. At the same time, we feel it's definitely doable. It's those big goals that actually get achieved. And in our day and age, especially with, like you said, you mentioned on some of the technology, that's definitely a means. What we've done is we're sort of flowing with the current, if we can sort of summarize it in an analogy. Essentially, any kind of activity that the two of us have even been involved in the past, whether it was in high school or even small projects in elementary schools, they quickly escalated because young people have a lot of positive energy and they're excited and we want to get involved. And we do this because it's duty, it's what the world calls for, and young people quickly collaborate on that, we found. And so in terms of concrete plans, absolutely, our mentors, so we've mentioned Hans and Professor Yunus, and there's a team of them actually supporting. For example, I was in Germany a few weeks ago. We have concrete plans in terms of, okay, what are we have a Vision 2015, and then so forth, and going from there. So these sorts of checkpoints and how we'd like to essentially go forward. But we don't make concrete goals necessarily, of numbers on number of youth by a certain date. We feel it is going forward, and let's see how it looks like in a year or two, and then we can have a better, perhaps, bird's eye view, because at this time, I guess it's just under 12 months, 11 months. So we'll see from there. But absolutely, definitely focused on that, and we'll make it happen. I think with young people around the world.
Of course, you are going to make it happen. Of course. And actually, about these members, are members joining for the long term, or is it like they join when they're youth and when they're young? So how does it work? Like, do you plan to actually do some alumni club?
Sure. Yes, do you want to take on this, and I'll add?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just didn't catch the first part of the question. The what?
Are you going to do to create some alumni club?
Oh, alumni?
Alumni. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. It wasn't clear. So the way we thought about it is, of course, there are people who are involved in myVision as active members, and those are youth. So just a traditional definition of the word as youth is, under 30. But of course, there are incredible amount of people that we've had the pleasure to meet even now who, are so wonderful and so involved with myVision. So they are almost myVision mentors. So when you say an alumni club, once you're in myVision, of course, we're not like, okay, you're 30, no, of course, they become our myVision mentors, and they continue to guide the movement and drive the movement. But, from a mentorship time scale, whereas members are very active and they pursue social business projects and whatnot through myVision, whereas mentors kind of guide the movement itself. And, the quick things there.
Okay, so I'm delighted to know that I'm still a youth.
We truly believe that the youth trouble. Joanna and I struggled with defining it.
Younger by 5 years now. And if I want to join, actually, for example, your organization, how should I do? Like, there is people all over the world right now. They want to help you in your vision. How I should do it?
Thank you. Yeah, perfect. I think sometimes good. In terms of involvement, so how we said, we truly believe that the youth spirit can be in one at any age. But of course, in terms of making it concrete and the involvement aspects, we focus on that age group, so anyone up to the age of 30. And to get involved, like we were explaining a little bit earlier, at this time, this is early stages. We don't have a sign-up page, and we won't have one until the end of summer. So please do stay tuned for that, and we'll share it hopefully on the Sensation website at that time. But in the meanwhile, we've been personally keeping in touch with everybody on the myVision Facebook page. So there is a myVision Facebook page on Facebook online, so people can keep in the loop there. And as soon as the infrastructure is ready for us to be able to support groups around the world, that is why we're waiting a little bit longer to ensure that the foundation is sustainable enough to support that sort of geography and so forth. So at that time, we would share, and then we'd go forward. We actually have some incredibly wonderful leaders, and they've said, they've messaged us several times to be like, all right, as soon as we can sign up for a group, let us know, whether they were in Nicaragua or in Japan. They said, keep us on the list and on the radar, and so we've kept sort of their names there as well. But that will be at that time. So primarily right now it's through the Facebook group, and as soon as that infrastructure is ready, there'll be an official sign-up page on a website and everything.
Okay, perfect. Where we can put your advertising. Really good. And
thank you so much.
The question we have from the community is, like, your organization is mostly set up to support other social enterprise, and how will you measure your own social impact of myVision?
Absolutely. So how we have decided to work through this is in a few ways, and measurement is such a key thing. And so in a few ways, we look at the actual, it's difficult to say, when is a community out of extreme poverty, because of course this is a much more sensitive area, and there's different forms of poverty. in as much as that is a fact. What we do is, since the group is with the group and ourselves, since we're working with Professor Yunus, who collaborates a lot with the United Nations on projects, we're kind of working within this sphere of support. And so we followed terms of the United Nations. So, for example, what we define as extreme poverty is living under less than $1 per day, and that's sort of the best measurement we've got. So one of the ways to measure impact with myVision is how many communities and individuals we have been able to support in their movement out of extreme poverty. We're living above that line. Also looking at how many social business projects myVision has accomplished, successful ones, also the ones in running, as well as numbers like how many youth are involved, or eventually we look at there's many students and professors that have asked us to go kind of on speaking tours, so perhaps in how many youth that we've collaborated with or spoken with, as well as how many countries are involved and so forth. But those are more kind of on the movement scale. The actual impact is more of the how many social business projects are in the running, how many have successfully helped a community be sustainable on its own, and out of above the $1 US per day poverty line.
Okay, great. Let's know. And another question we got from the community is, what is the motivation for young people to become social entrepreneurs? Because you are trying to inspire all of them and create more social entrepreneurs. And what would be for you like their motivation?
I think that's a great question for, I feel that's a wonderful question for Yashi, who traditionally is right now a science student. So I think it would be a neat.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, so just about myself, my background, actually, I'm studying neuroscience here at McGill. And, well, entrepreneurship, at least in my first few years, was not part of, my vision, well, my personal vision. So it's really interesting. I think the reason that I'm so involved and passionate about social entrepreneurship is that it's the only thing for me that I feel it makes the most sense to me. When I do it, it's a skill that I have, and we're using skills that other people have, and we're using that to make meaningful change. So, for example, in Kungani, we're using a skill that this community already has to help them support themselves, to sell those goods, and people are very interested in that. And I think the motivation for young people is this kind of sustainability and this creative outlet that they can use their own skills to make meaningful change in an industry that's close to their hearts. And a lot of my friends who I've had the pleasure of meeting through myVision, one in particular is excellent at videos and making those, and he uses that to raise awareness about the Haitians and the earthquakes that have affected them, and some of the natural disasters that occur around the area, and he's very passionate about that. So I think the motivation really is how we can use our own skills, to some things that we may not necessarily learn in school, to apply to the world and apply in industries that are close to our hearts.
Okay, great. So it's like looking at the talent of everybody in order to manage to use them.
Right. I mean, for a long time I defined myself as I'm a science student and I'm going to make meaningful change in the field of science, and absolutely. But I think throughout my education I've also learned a set of skills that I can use to be a social entrepreneur, to make meaningful change in the fields of extreme poverty and hunger, because that's very close to my heart.
Okay, great. So it's good. We have the feeling you are like unstoppable, actually, both of you. Is there like any time, like during the past, or like some issues you encounter when you are a social entrepreneur? Or there was some moment where you say, this is tough, or this can be changed actually. It can also be an opportunity, because it was tough for you like to implement this social entrepreneurship.
The first thing that, it's funny, I think both of us hesitated for a second, and I'm sure we both smiled, because it's kind of a beautiful thing that when we're involved in any kind of social change project, and I feel Yashi would agree, there are always most of the stuff is so great and exciting and wonderful. At the same time, there are always challenges. So that's the beauty of it, is we're always making strides forward, and there's always something to, improve on, or a setback. And, which we believe, I guess, the success comes from, if you fall, there's an expression, if you fall 7 times, you get up, success is getting up that 8th time. And what's been wonderful is everyone in the group, I can speak on behalf of the group myVision McGill, as well as right now our international team of volunteers working on the groundworks for the international portion of myVision. We're always there and saying, let's problem solve together. So I guess it's that for us, it's less of a problem per se, maybe just a challenge to solve if anything does come up. So things that I can sort of discuss right now in terms of challenges, I feel sometimes the first thing is when there's a new group starting, they say, and I went through this mind process, is, all right, so, there's a challenge, and I see it in my community here, let's say, it's in Canada, where we have certain things like most communities have access to clean drinking water and these sorts of resources, but they say, I want to be the change, I'm not sure which area exactly, and I want to do a social business. And it sounds really cool, but then when they get into it, they're like, how do I actually do this? And not only that, but they're not necessarily geographically, close by. So that's been kind of the one thing. And I feel that with the Queen's team, with Yashvi's visit, which I'm sure she'll be able to comment in a few seconds a little more, but we're learning how to make that process happen. And one of the things, of course, eventually will be online resources for groups to have access to at all times. How to, here's some tips for the best, tips for running your teams, and here's resources as to, tutorials on social business and what how to actually run one, what's a business plan, to educate students, especially ones that, which make a big portion of groups of students actually in the McGill Club, students who are not in the business faculty. So that might not have ever taken, or even run across the word business in their day-to-day lives. So these sorts of things. But we felt, as we go forward and we do these sorts of tutorials and, sessions and mentorship calls and so forth, that's been, the challenges have been solved. Or sometimes they're even traveling to the new group, which, Yashvi, if you want to comment on that, she actually went to personally go mentor the group. But essentially, that's kind of like the main one, I think, what we've had so far, and it's being overcome quite well. So I'll pass it on to Yashvi. I'm sure she's got some more.
Right, yeah. So, like Joanna mentioned, I had the pleasure to visit Kingston and just see, the team dynamic, things that they were interested in. And like Joanna said, I think the biggest challenge was to find a more effective way to kind of educate the team about social business and what it means. And Queen's very much is focused on education. So, but at the same time, they're very interested in doing something locally. And that was also a little bit of a challenge. But, despite these challenges, the really amazing thing was I got there and I was presenting, this is something that has worked for myVision McGill, and this is awesome, and this is a great idea. And they're like, no, we already have our ideas. We just need to figure out how to get there. And I think that was really great, because although, they did experience these challenges in terms of understanding how to pursue, for example, education from more of a Canadian perspective, they did have the ideas and the passion and, the drive to say, no, actually, that's not what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We just need help to get there. And like Joanna mentioned, through mentorship and being there, through online calls and online resources, we're slowly but surely getting to a more efficient way of educating about social business, but definitely that's been the most challenging.
And if I can add as well, which is something that both of us have experienced personally, sometimes younger students, usually when they get older, they maybe start focusing a little bit more, but a lot of us, you get into it and people are like, well, I want to I'm passionate about this and this and this, and we want to solve everything. And it's so beautiful to see, and it's natural, and all of us naturally want, this, a great world that has all of the challenges solved. And sometimes it's funny how such a great thing can get complex because, well, we can't solve every problem through one project, but we can definitely do something. So focusing in and really that's why that's the first step in the 5 action steps that Yashvi outlined. I don't know if you want to bring that back up again, Yashvi, on the 7th slide. And the first thing is to envision. So when Yashvi was explaining vision cards, it's, you have these events or even at an MD cocktail, and people say, we ask people, what's the first thing that comes to your head, or maybe ponder a little longer about the kind of ideal world for you. What would it look like? What would people be doing? Who's working where? What are the conditions like? And through that process, one naturally finds one area, maybe two, but kind of, they're able to focus in a little bit more. And that drives their passion and their talents, therefore, which is wonderful. And then we've got these colorful cards, and they usually write it out, and we have this big wall, and they put it up there. And then when there's the commitment step, we've got this banner, and I'll explain a little bit more in detail, but essentially it's a long white banner, and it just continues to expand every year, and young people and actually individuals of all ages are welcome to put their hand on it. So we trace it with a marker. That might sound like cute and childish, but really it does make an impact. We had, the Queen of Spain put her hand on, Queen Sofia, Professor Yunus. We had CEOs from around the world, as well as university students, elementary school students, you name it. And they have envisioned their world and said, I'm going to make that vision a reality. And then they put their hand on the banner and sign it usually. And so what the goal is, essentially, as we continue forward, every year we're attending the Global Social Business Summit, which is in November. The last couple of years it was in Vienna. This year it'll be in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, and from the 7th to the 9th of November. And at that time, we hope that in the future there'll be one day prior to the event, which will be kind of a myVision Day, where youth from around the world come together. We'll have scholarships offered so that we can, get the students there, and they will bring their banners along with them. So groups and youth and teams around the world, it will be kind of a celebration day, and each team will bring them, and we'll keep collecting them. And eventually we'll have 300 million hands on there, and we'll have accomplished myVision's vision, in a sense, or the mission of myVision. And so that allows us to keep in touch, keep the energy together. It's a beautiful small thing, and also it's allowed us to overcome that challenging focus aspect of young people being the change.
Okay, it's amazing actually to see all the positive energy coming from you, because you don't speak about problems, you speak about challenge. So always see it's a kind of a sport challenge. You don't speak not only ideas but also drive and passion. And I think it's all about also execution and the action you will take when you do social entrepreneurship. And at the end, you don't speak about work, but you speak about fun. It's really good to see all this positive energy. Unfortunately, I will have to send you a bad news. We have to cut the call now. It's finished session. I'm really sorry about it. I promise you that in 3 years, we'll do a 24-hour conference with all the myVision movement.
Perfect. All three. It's really never fun.
And I know we can speak for hours, but unfortunately there will be other speakers. But thank you really, really much. I think it's really, really inspiring, and really inspiring for also all the students around that are listening to us and that want to create social entrepreneurship. So really, thank you very much.